Today I want to discuss the Azden SGM-250 microphone and the other two brother microphones of that in the 250 series. Everything that you're hearing right now is actually recorded on an SGM-250 mounted right over my head on a boom pole, so you can hear very clearly what it sounds like. I recommend wearing headphones so that way you get the full experience. I'm assuming you're watching this because you are considering purchasing one of these mics. So anyway, here we go. This is in no way sponsored by Azden. I'm not being paid to create the video or to discuss it or give good reviews or whatever, but they did provide the microphone to me so I could put it through its paces and give an honest review to you. This is completely my video. They don't have any say in what goes into it. I don't have to give it to them for approval or anything, but thank you to Azden for the mic, and anyway, let's get cranking. Now, for those of you who have not heard of Azden as a company, you should have. My very first microphone was an Azden SGM-2x. This thing is a 16-inch shotgun microphone. The thing is a beast. It is a little bit too long, but it's a really, really solid microphone. I've beaten this thing up. I've traveled the country, I've traveled the world with it, and it looks like the day I got it. It works and sounds just like the day that I got it. So that is a testament to the longevity of these mics from Azden. That said, getting into the SGM-250, it is a super-cardioid with great frequency response. It goes from 20 hertz all the way to 20 kilohertz, which is the range of human hearing, so you're not really losing anything, including those birds are outside. I'm leaving the window open. It's a very hot day here in the studio, so I've got the doors open, I've got the windows open, so there you go. Now, if you can't hear them, that's pretty good with this. So I'm curious because when I was doing my sound checks, it was not with noise like that. So I've got some very loud birds literally in the branch outside of my studio. So that's a good test for it. As is typical with professional grade shotgun mics, it is an XLR input on this mic. Now, the key feature of this mic that I absolutely love, it is dual powered. You can power it both with battery power using a single AA battery or 48 volt phantom power from your recorder or from your camera if it's set up that way. If it's not, you have the battery power option. I like the fact that it's AA and not AAA. My last shotgun mic was AAA, and it seems like that was the only device that I owned that required AAA batteries. So, and that battery, it doesn't say how long the battery lasts on here, but the AAA battery lasted about 10,000 hours on my old 16-inch shotgun microphone. So I assume that it is somewhere around that same ballpark for the SGM-250. That said, there's no longer any guesswork in wondering, is there any juice left in this battery? Do I have to replace it soon? There is an LED indicator letting you know if the battery is getting low. Oh, and one note that is important between phantom power and battery power, switching between the two, they sound identical. There's no difference at all in the quality of the audio between it. For example, right now, this is phantom power, and this is battery power. There is literally no difference whatsoever back and forth between the two. Once again, this is battery power, and this is phantom power, powered by my Sony that is recording this currently, because I have this plugged into an XLR cable down the boom pole and directly into my main camera here. There's also a low cut filter switch on the microphone built in, so that way you can kind of slice out that low end in case you're shooting and there's a refrigerator humming nearby or an AC unit or something. Of course, Azden recommends, and I recommend, it's kind of like audio 101. Don't flip that switch in the middle of actually doing an audio recording. If someone's in the middle of a word and you flip that switch, there's gonna be probably some kind of an audible click or a switch to the tone. So if you have to use that, either tell the talent, hang on a second, or whatever situation, wait for until there's a break in the action and flip that switch, and then you're good to go. This comes with a carrying pouch, a foam windscreen, and a shock mount, which is perfect for either utilizing the cold shoe mount of your camera or using the 3/8 inch thread on the bottom to screw it right into a boom pole or something similar. Now, in addition to the vocals that you're hearing right now, I also went out and I sampled a bunch of other sounds, including a storm, birds, things like that. So again, if you don't have your headphones on, I recommend you go ahead and do that, but take a listen. Just want to give a quick mention for where I'm shooting this right now. This is beautiful Harrybrook Park in New Milford, Connecticut. If you ever find yourself in the area, make sure you swing by. It's actually a private park. A wealthy family they gifted their entire property for public use. They put all of their money that they had saved up, they were very wealthy, and they put it into a trust fund to upkeep the property for decades and decades to come. That was, I want to say, back in the 50s or 60s. Obviously, it's been decades, and it's still here, more beautiful than ever, thanks to the volunteers and the very small staff that make up the Harrybrook Park team. Obviously, there's a lot of sound going on behind me. Behind the camera right now is actually the main house where they lived. Very modest house, but the back of the house is all windows, all glass, and it overlooks this beautiful scene right here. It just gives a good idea as far as the pickup of the SGM-250. If I shot this just with a GoPro, with the GoPro audio only, you know it'd be a total train wreck. In fact, here's what it sounds like with just the GoPro audio, which is horrific. And now switching back to the SGM-250, obviously a really, really huge difference considering I can hardly hear myself speak right now with all the noise behind me. All right, back to the regularly scheduled video review. Now, a word on the Azden SGM-250P. The P stands for phantom power. That one, the only difference between the SGM-250 and the SGM-250P is the fact that the P only does phantom power. So if you know that your camera or recorder does phantom power, you're gonna save a couple bucks going that route. It's also going to be a shorter microphone by about 2 inches, and the weight will be about half. The specs are identical to the 250. Literally the only difference is there's no battery compartments, there's less weight, there's less length. It's the same exact microphone. Lastly is the SGM-250CX. This is perfect if you need a microphone that is going to be mounted to your camera. It is also phantom power only. It's only about 6 inches long. It's nice and short. On paper, the specs are slightly less than the 250 and the 250P. For example, the dynamic range on the CX is 115 decibels versus 112 decibels on the 250 and 250P. The impedance is 100 ohms on the CX and 120 ohms on the two larger big brothers. That said, on paper, there are slight differences. I'm sure only the best trained ear can even begin to spot the differences between them. So if you need something small and mounted to the camera, don't worry about that. Pick up the CX, that's your best choice. If you want something boom operated, you're looking at the 250 or the 250P. If you want the ability to also have battery power if you need it in a pinch, spring for the full SGM-250. As far as downsides, I was trying to find downsides because I don't want this to sound like a very, very pro Azden bias review. It is not, but I couldn't find any major flaws with these. The dynamic range, the specs on this are great. I'm very, very happy with the audio quality, but each mic has its pros and cons. The SGM-250 is the most expensive, but you are getting what you pay for because there's also the option for battery power. If battery power is not important to you, the SGM-250P is the way to go, but you will always require phantom power. If you are out shooting somewhere on a new camera, that camera cannot produce phantom power, you're out of luck. On the CX, same thing, it requires phantom power, but really if you're going the CX route, it also comes with a 13-inch cable, by the way. That way you can plug it right into the camera without having to go out and buy another XLR cable, because it really was designed to be on a camera. But each mic has its pros and cons simply by the very nature of each microphone. But there's no glaring flaws that I was able to see or hear on the SGM-250, which is what I have been handling. So as you can see in here, solid quality. I would certainly recommend this to anybody. This price point that it's currently at, which is what? As far as pricing, the SGM-250 goes for $250. The SGM-250P goes for $230, and the SGM-250CX goes for $200. All right, if you have any questions, make sure you leave them in the comments below, and I'll get to those as soon as I can. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day.